Good morning, everybody. It's, what is it? It's the 9th of January. Yeah, Thursday, the 9th of January. It's my day off. And I want to take a minute to be logical. This channel, as you know, and if you don't know, is about solutions and a strategy to get our country back from the oligarchs and the neoliberals who have captured our state for over 40 years now, created the neoliberal era that we're currently under. So I tell everybody, if you this is a strategy. This channel is about not about the problems that we're having because you're well aware of that. There are many videos about that. This is about the solution and how to get our country back, and it's a strategy. Uh, Prerequisite to getting your country back is you have to understand how it is that we lost our country and what has happened to us over the last 40 years. And that is an understanding of what is called neoliberalism. Look it up. I always tell people there's a 5-part video series which I think is outstanding on explaining what happened to us. It's on YouTube. It's called This is Neoliberalism. It's a 5-part series, average about 45 minutes each. It's a bit lengthy, but I promise you, if you watch that, you'll have a much better understanding. Second thing I want you to do as a prerequisite to get your country back and to go forward with this strategy is to watch Dr. Stephanie Kelton's presidential lecture on YouTube. It talks and explains a little bit about how the facts are about how sovereign governments who issue its own currency, taxes, and spends, and how it is that's key to understanding how it is that we're going to get our country back. And thirdly, of course, Professor Lawrence Lessig's TED Talk on getting how it is that we lost our democracy. He's got quite a few of them out there on YouTube, and I can't recall just right off the top of my head. I'm going to post those links, by the way, on the description of this channel. So this is about being logical. Okay, this is what I want to talk about today: being logical. Logical. I was on I was surfing the web just recently and came across a pretty good introduction to modern monetary theory from Australia. Now, keep in mind that MMT, modern monetary theory, is how a government taxes and spends as long as it's a sovereign government who issues its own currency. Australia is one of those governments. The United States, um, Japan, Canada, these are countries that have what's called fiscal space to taxes, to spend on what is important now. Being logical, what has happened over the last 40 years is the Federal Reserve has used monetary policy and created a situation where the working class people barely have enough money to make ends meet. And not to get too far into that, right? The the point of this video is that you have to understand these two things before you, or these three things, right? Neoliberalism, modern monetary theory, and Lawrence Lessig's understanding of how it is that we have two elections in America. The first election is with rich people, and after they get done, they pick who they want. Then they give those people, those candidates, to us to choose. And he makes an argument and says, and I agree with this, that's not democracy, that is oligarchy, right? We want to get to a situation where we, the people, pick our candidate with our money. The only way we do that is to um, take our money and make it equal to the rich person's money. So they can spend all the money they want because we, understanding modern monetary theory now that it's truly our money, we can match dollar for dollar. And now we have our president, our candidate up there, and we can choose. Now, this is important because once we have free and fair elections, now we have a government by and for the people. And once we have that, now we can tackle the neoliberal policies that have been put in place over the last 40 years. Policies like allowing banks, investment banks, and commercial banks combine and gamble on things like people's pensions and gamble it away, and the ability to raise prices through fake value of their assets. Right, Wall Street is creating bubbles, and so on and so forth. Right, and allowing companies and monopolies to exist. Now, I hear the people like Ben Shapiro and people like that just you know, neoliberal. Oh my God, to the core, right? And they'll say things like, when I lost my train of thought here. Um, these people are monopolizing the monopolizing, and through their ability to monopolize, they can raise the prices. That's it. Regulation. The people like Ben Shapiro say that we're overregulated, and we need to, or rather, yeah, we need to deregulate and allow companies to do, because supposedly corporations are, a good way to run an economy. You know what I mean? Corporations in control, in other words. And what has happened is that you got to keep in mind neoliberalism says that I'm going to empower business to pass to do business in such a way that makes sure that they get a lot of money, because according to them, as long as they get a lot of money, then that's going to trickle down to the working class, and then everybody's going to, and they're full of crap. That's not what happens. What happens is they take that money, reinvest it, and give it to their CEOs and their top executives, and they don't build anything. As a matter of fact, people like Mitt Romney will go out and take a company and strip it of its resources and then leave it as a shell and then go on to the next company and then, you know, create unemployment and, it just, so see what I'm saying? So how do you combat that? Alan Greenspan says that the way to go forward 30 years ago when he was a Federal Reserve is to squeeze labor so that they are too afraid to start unions, that we got to make them barely make ends meet, and that way, we can take control and continue being rich, right? Well, the logic behind this strategy is that, contrary to what Obama did when he had the opportunity, instead of bailing out the banks and the neoliberals to continue the scheme, the bullshit scheme, we're going to create a situation where they have no choice but to bail the people out. And the way we do that is through a 60-day sabbatical. This is, now I'm going to get into the solution, the strategy. Use logic, people. Be logical about this and be smart about this. You don't have to get guns and you don't have to be violent about getting our country back from the neoliberals, because we all understand, we all are in the same boat. We all know that our government has been captured by oligarchs, rich people, and neoliberals who only pass the laws to favor capital, to favor corporations, right? So what we do is we decide that we're going to go on a 60-day sabbatical. That's right, it's going to take 60 days where you're not going to work. And the only way that happens is if the truck drivers stop driving. And the only way the truck drivers are going to stop driving is if you, the people, show yourselves to be fighting for decency, fighting to get your country back. And you don't have to go protesting. You don't have to write your congressman. You don't have to do anything but something outrageously simple. And that is to wear red and white on your body and put red and white ribbons and streamers on your vehicle as you drive down the road. Let everybody know that you're one of those people that say, I want my country back. I want the American dream back. I want to be able to afford a home. I want to be able to afford to send my babies to college, to become prosperous, to become, productive members of society. I want to be able to help people get a job, keep a job, and prosper. This is how we do it. You have to have power. This is not going to happen unless you have power. They are way too powerful for, But you as an individual, believe it or not, I'm serious when I say this. You as an individual do in fact have the power to turn this around. The question you have to ask yourself is this. You make a decision to fight. You wear the red and white. I don't have it right now with me right now. It's on my desk, but red and white. I put red and white wristbands, silicone wristbands around my arm, and I put red and white ribbons on my vehicle and in my truck as I drive down the road as a truck driver, because that's what I do. I'm a truck driver. Once you make that decision, you say to yourself, I did it. I'm powerful. I'm going to change this. I know what I'm doing. I'm ready and I'm serious in I'm serious when I say by Labor Day 2027, if we don't get two things from the oligarchs who are in power right now, I am ready to go on a 60-day sabbatical. I will save, save the green beans, save the water, make sure we're not being pregnant, having babies during those months. Make sure that we have our medicines together. Just be prepared, right? But I'm ready to sit at home and study political economy, study what neoliberalism is, study what modern monetary theory is, study how it is that we no longer have a government of, by, and for the people. You're ready to do this, right? And by doing that, think about this for a minute. Realize that you and everybody, whether by force or by choice, are not going to be able to pay your rent, will not be able to pay your car payment, will be behind on your credit cards for 2 months. Now, right now, they've got us to where a lot of people are 2 paychecks away from being homeless. Imagine for a minute you're living in an apartment and it wasn't your choice. You didn't put the red and white on your vehicle. You didn't do that. You're like, you're one of those people who says, hey, I'm not into politics. Just leave me out of it. I'm just trying to make a living. Okay, fine. But if we get 33%, 33 million people in America, 10%, which is called critical mass, science says that something gives once we reach critical mass. And what is going to give is people are going to start to feel uncomfortable if they're not seen wearing red and white on their bodies and putting red and white on their vehicles, because that tells other people, that says, you know what, you don't care about America. You don't care about the American dream. You just don't care. You're one of those, you know what I mean? It puts pressure on people, and then people, if once they see that, they're going to start feeling uncomfortable. When they start wearing red and white, that red and white, truck drivers look at it and says, hell yeah, I am being called as a truck driver to stand with power on behalf of my fellow American to get our country back. You don't think that truck driver is going to do it in a New York minute? Well, I'll tell you, I'm a truck driver and I am a patriot. I love America. And I love America, what it stands for. And what it used to be was the American dream is no longer the American dream. We all know this now. We want to get that back. We're decent people, right? Truck drivers are on board. They get ready. They're going to shut it down. Now, what is the government going to, or not the government, I got to watch myself, because the government is you and I. You and I are the government, and we're not in control. Oligarchs in control. Now, what are the oligarchs going to do in that situation? Son of a gun, we got a serious crisis here. We wanted these people in debt. Well, now they're really in debt. Everybody's behind on their mortgage. Everybody's behind on their car payment. They're not paying their credit cards. What the hell are we going to do? Obama had the chance, but he squandered it. Bernie wanted to do it, but the powers that be denied us. Denied us that, and who, by the way, who did he pick as his economic advisor? He picked Dr. Stephanie Kelton, who is a proponent and one of the founding members of this new economic perspective, which is correct, by the way. It really is how sovereign governments who issue their own currencies tax and spend. And they have policies. Keep in mind, MMT is just a lens in which people understand how the mechanics of taxing and spending through a sovereign country who issues its own currency. MMT has policy proposals, and one of those proposals is not to pass regulations to allow corporations to rape working class people, but rather to have what is called full employment, or the job guarantee, federally funded, locally administered. They're talking about stabilizing the economy in such a way that there's no, bubbles, no up and down. You know what I mean? Where it's more stable, you know. Okay? So don't listen to those idiots, those neoliberals that say MMT is this and listen to the MMT people and you make up your own mind. You'll see that, yeah, you know, the United States government has spent millions and billions and billions on going to war. And you ask yourself, you know, you notice they don't say anymore, how are you going to pay for, you know, universal health care? How are you going to pay? They don't say that anymore because remember we had like 100 and, what is it, 114, whatever, 400, $700 paycheck, check from the federal government during COVID. If that don't tell you that modern monetary theory is the way federal governments tax and spends, I don't know what does, you know. And the reason why we have inflation isn't because the government, or you know, the oligarchs allowed the government. You know what I'm talking about. People took that money and they tried to reduce their debt. And they're saying this is the reason why we have inflation. That's not the reason why we have inflation. The reason why we have inflation is because businesses started, because neoliberal policies allowed them to jack up the prices. And they took advantage of a chain, right? What do you call the chain, supply chain? There's breakage, there's breaks in the supply chain, and one company said, "Shoot, I can't do this. I got to raise the price." And everybody, all the corporations, looked at that and said, "Hell yeah, I'm down with that. You know, include me in. I'm going to raise the price on my product." And now, because there's a shortage of resources, that's really what this inflation is, where there's a shortage of resources. You know, and they took advantage of that. And now they're saying, you see how much money we spent, you know, in the government, in the you know, through government spending, you know, because we cause it. No, it's not inflation. Inflation is something different. So getting back to my point, the idea is that we're going to force the oligarchs to make a decision, and that is to bail out working class Americans. But by then, keep in mind that we all, as a nation, are going to very well understand what neoliberalism is and what destroyed the American dream. This is the key. This is the important part, that now we know, because I'm telling you, you're watching this video, and I bet you $1, if you go to your neighbor, go to your buddy that you work with, and you know, keep the politics, you don't want to talk about politics and religion and workplace or whatever, but keep it to a, you know, just a cordial conversation that's really quick, and you ask them, hey, you know what neoliberalism is? 9 times out of 10 they're going to say, no, I have no idea. And yet that is the one thing that destroyed the American dream, why they struggle so much. Think about this for a minute. Once people understand what has happened to them, they're going to understand that they have to have power to get their country back. Nothing less, no protests, no conferences, no writing your congressman. None of that is going to work. You have to have power. And the power lies in the truck drivers stopping their trucks for a period, not a week, but for 60 days. And let me tell you something about that, okay? Truck drivers are patriots. They'll do it in New York minute. But let me tell you something. If I, as a truck driver, am asked to be a patriot and stand for working class people in the American dream, and you're going to force me to go through that uncertainty, that struggle, that anxiety, then by God, not only as a truck driver are you going to give us free and fair elections if we actually have to go on a 60-day sabbatical. Not only are you going to give us a mere vote on universal health care, those two things, but you're also going to pay me, because I understand modern money. I understand how modern money works. I understand that the federal government spends first and then collects taxes. And when it collects that tax, it throws it away in the trash because it doesn't need that money to spend. It spends a brand new dollar. When it spends, it's a brand new dollar, and when it taxes, it throws it away in the trash. So don't tell me oligarchs that you can't pay me a $20,000 savings bond to go back to work. So what are you going to do, oligarch? What are you going to do? Do you understand the logic behind this? Do you understand the power behind this? I tell people, as a matter of fact, if there's any danger in this strategy where we wear red and white on our body, we put red and white on our vehicles as we drive down the road, and we ask the truck driver to park that truck for 60 days while we go on a 60-day spiritual sabbatical, the whole country. If there's any danger in this strategy, it's this, that the neoliberals who wear red suits and blue suits both get together and say, you know what, these people are serious. The light bulb finally came on. They understand what's going on now, finally. Well, we got to do something. And the best thing we could do is calm them down. Let's forgive them their student debt. Let's somehow reduce the prices on houses. Let's give them a tax break. And that's a joke, right? Like a tax break is going to actually help working class people. Give me a break. You know, we're not idiots. We know what's good for us. And we know it's good for our fellow human beings. And what is good for us is to reach the American dream, to get it back. That's what's good for working class people. I know this. You know this. What are they going to do? They're going to do what Obama should have done, and they're going to bail the American people out. But you know something? Here's the thing. It'll never happen. The 60-day sabbatical will never happen. You have to be genuine in your conviction that says, I will go through with that. I will do it. Be genuine and be serious and be prepared, but it'll never happen. The reason why it will never happen is because to do that is to admit and to say the neoliberal era is dead. It's dead anyway. If we get to that point, the neoliberal era is either going to die on that day or going to die shortly after, because once we understand that this is a form of capitalism that we will not stand for anymore. Keep in mind, because you see, what they're going to do is say, oh, you're a socialist. Oh, you're a communist. You want to turn the country into a socialist country or a communist country. No. We want the American dream. We're capitalists, and we just don't want that kind of capitalism. We don't want finance capitalism. We don't want oligarchs to have so much money that they can control and pick who they want and put in office and pass laws to make sure that they get their corporate welfare. You know, that they take away the American dream to the point that they have taken the very country that we call our country, where we no longer can say that we are a government of, by, and for the people. The oligarchs will not allow that to happen. The last thing they want is a whole nation sitting at home with nothing to do but study what has happened to them over the last 40 years and study what the American dream actually, that it is within our grasp through understanding modern monetary theory properly, not the way the Ben Shapiro's of the world say. It's idiots. Neoliberal mouthpieces that just think about, oh my God, I'm going to get rich. Talking a bunch of lies and misinformation to people, misguiding them. You see how powerful this is? You can't lose. You can't lose. We're going to struggle, people. We are going to struggle. Whether we want to or not, we're going to struggle. Now, the question I'm asking you is that on what narrative, on what condition are you going to struggle? Are you going to struggle because the neoliberals have created this situation where we're going to have another financial crash and most people in America are going to be clueless about what happened? All they know is something's wrong. Or are we going to struggle knowing what has happened to us and having control over how we go forward? Let's struggle that way. Let's struggle that way. And all you have to do, seriously, people, all you have to do, it's so freaking outrageous. All you have to do to get your country back is do such a simple thing as wear red and white on your body and put red and white on your vehicle. And that's it. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. It's that powerful. Do you see what I'm seeing? It's that powerful. Believe in this. Know that the American dream is within your grasp, and here's the real kicker. You want to know a kicker? Here's a kicker. You're going to love this. Donald Trump is our president. Peace through strength. What is he talking about? Canada and, and Panama Canal, and I'm strong guy, right? He's a neoliberal through and through. Big time. True blue neoliberal. But you know something else? Don't you hate it in that hat? There it is. I love this hat. Don't you know that Trump, as a neoliberal through and through, he's something else. And that is that he's an egotistical man. He really cares about his legacy. He really does. And you Trump supporters, believe in him, or you're going to get your wish. I didn't vote for the guy myself, okay? And I'm not going to give you the reasons why. I'm just saying I didn't. As a matter of fact, to be open and honest with you, I didn't vote at all. I am of the opinion that I will not legitimize the oligarchs taking over our country. I don't recognize our election process as democracy. You know what I mean? No, but that's a separate issue, okay? But here's the thing. Donald Trump is egotistical. Now, what do you think he would do during a crisis in 2027? We're walking around with red and white. We got red and white streamers. We're freaking really hopeful. We're really encouraged, man. We got this is it, man. We're fighting back. This is powerful. We're going to get our country back. Yay. We're all excited about this, right? And President Trump is looking at this, and the neoliberals who hate his guts. They hate his guts. The red suits and the blue suits look at him and say, son of a gun, man. You know why they hate him? It's not because it's because he's himself. He's not part of them. He's outside of them. Even though he agrees with their idea of how it is that we need to be rich, and these dumb people, workers, shut up, go back to work. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. I have money. I know how to control things. Did you get a company? Are you running a company? Do you know about finances? Be quiet. Go back to work. That's their attitude towards working class people. Trump is no different, But you know something? You Trump supporters, you picked the right guy. And this is the reason why. Because if Trump is anything else, he is egotistical. And if we put him in a position, I love this, man, I really do. If we put him in a position to preside over a crisis like this, he will, in a New York minute, say, hell yeah, I'm the president. I will be the president that'll get this country back to the American dream. Hell yeah, he'll do it in a freaking minute because he cares more about that than making sure that those rich oligarchs that hate his guts, right, and appease them. FDR was put in the same situation, wasn't he? But back then, the difference between FDR and Trump is that in FDR's day, the socialists had their signs, and they were freaking depressed. They were freaking, 23% of the people had no jobs. They were freaking hungry. And they were saying, I'm ready for socialism. You laissez-faire capitalism, letting the market go to muck. I'm ready for this. And the communists are right there with them, and there are a whole bunch of them. FDR looked at the rich oligarchs, the Carnegies and the DuPonts running the country at the time and says, hey, you got to be thanking me. I'm saving your ass right now. If I don't do this, we're gonna have a socialist country. He was an aristocrat, and I argue that he was for the people. He might not have been. He might have been like Trump, an aristocrat. And Trump will do like FDR did. FDR, in his famous speech, said, I welcome your moneyed interest. I welcome your hatred. And he passed the New Deal. And he got people back to work. And he started the American dream. Trump can do the same, and he will do it. He will do it. But he won't unless we, the people, have the courage and the smarts to make sure that we put him in that position. Because if we don't put him in that position of crisis, he won't do a damn thing for working class people. He won't. Because he's a neoliberal. He is. We have to make him be great. And that's the kicker, right? Obama talked all this beautiful talk about we can do it, and yes, we can, and the Democrats are all happy, and I was one of them. I voted for Obama. I'm like, man, this guy's freaking, it's like, we all told ourselves, man, in the news, in the alternative media, is almost like, is he another FDR? I mean, everything's the same. History repeats itself. We're at that point. We had a financial crash. Laissez-faire, or the neoliberal ideology is, they've taken over Wall Street. The same thing. And Obama had such a beautiful speech. And what did he do, that jerk? What did he do? He gave us a watered-down version of the Glass-Steagall Act with a Dodd-Frank bill. He said, banks, continue on. We got to make it look good, though. When we were talking about the public option, about health care, he actually forced people to get health care, Everybody loved Obama in his speech. Everybody was all hopeful. And he didn't give us crap. He's a neoliberal full of crap guy, just like Bush, just like Clinton, just like all the rest of them. But Trump, who most people hate, who can't stand, they call him a fascist, is actually the one that's going to do it. I'm freaking crazy. It's a freaking crazy. It blows my mind away. He's the one that's going to do it. Why? Because the greatest sin in America, in humanity, is vanity. The oligarchs have something on people, and that is that they understand human nature. And they have taken the worst of human nature and they have emphasized it. They have focused on it. Neoliberalism is taking the worst of human nature and blown it out. Ayn Rand said, there's no such thing as altruism. Margaret Thatcher said, there is no society. Ronald Reagan said, the scariest words from a person's mouth is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Do you understand what he actually said there? The idea of America is that people will run the government the government will be run by consent of the people, a government of, by, and for the people. I'm from the government and I'm here to help is the scariest thing that comes out of anybody. He's saying, don't trust your neighbor. Trust me, the rich person, instead. That is neoliberalism. I am my brother's keeper. I will fight for my brother and his well-being. And I'm going to do it smartly. Like, subscribe, share. You want your country back? It truly is this simple.